Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boss Talks. I'm your host, Evan Happel with Community Boss, and I have a great guest today, Renee McIntyre. She is with Scully Company and is the VP of Marketing for them. Uh, Super excited to have her because she is yet another guest that is from the great state of Pennsylvania as we're gearing up to apartmentalize in Philly this year. She'll let us know about some of the things we look forward to when it comes to state of Philadelphia or state of Pennsylvania and what's going on in Philly while we're there, what we should check out, maybe some food we should eat. And, we're going to have Boss Brunch again this year. And I know that Renee plans to be there. So ask and we'll see if we can make it happen. But before we get to that, before we get to her, we have a great solution at Community Boss to help you manage the physical spaces of your community, whether it's your parking, your amenities, or mapping. We have you covered. If you want to generate some revenue through the parking lot or some amenities, we can do that. We integrate with access control, your favorite property management softwares, and also we just make it a great place to live and easier to manage. We like to call it manage like a boss. So if you have any questions about that, let me know and we'll get right back to you about it. But today it's about Renee. So let's get to it. Renee, thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, you've been at this multifamily game for roughly almost 10 years?
Almost 10. Yep.
Okay. And before that, you were doing some other work. It looks like some event-based stuff.
Yep.
So how did you make that jump from there to there?
Yeah. So I went to school in Philly at Temple. So I went to Temple University and I went for tourism and hospitality management. So I have always been involved in the hospitality business. I studied all different things within hospitality, worked in hotels, and really found a passion for event coordination. So I interned doing event coordination in Philly. I worked with a really well-known firm. They would do everything from like small corporate events to citywide events for like 200,000 plus people. If anyone is familiar with Philadelphia and the Kimmel Center, they have a week-long festival every year. And the end of that is like this huge kind of street fair with all kinds of art and entertainment, which is like the foundation of what the Kimmel Center does. They're all about arts, and coordinated that. So that is what I used to do. I really loved it. And due to just like personal situations, my family life, my husband is a detective in Philadelphia. The schedules just were not lining up. So I thought, let me look for something else to do. Multifamily seemed like a good fit. It's very similar to the hospitality industry, just you kind of have people staying with you longer. So there's so many parallels in what I do now in marketing for multifamily. Like you're still, instead of guests, you have residents. You're still creating great experiences. You're still trying to, craft lifestyles that make people want to stay and come back. So there's a lot of parallels between what I did previously and what I do now, just in a new industry, but still very similar.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've had quite a few guests that have kind of jumped from hospitality to multifamily. And I think, if anything, it brings kind of a thing that we're probably headed more and more towards through the customer service and like providing more hospitality based customer service focus and to kind of differentiate and stuff. So I've heard that more and more from different companies and different people. Like that's actually how they're trying to like gear their service for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the things, obviously, being in the marketing department and overseeing sales and marketing, one of the important pieces of that is leasing teams. And I think, coming from the hospitality industry is some of the best that you can get, just the experience of being able to deal with people, communication. They have such great transferable skills. I also think, whereas in multifamily, we might feel, our hours are long and you're always on call. People who have worked in hospitality, like welcome the idea of maybe just being on call at night versus having to work like weekends, holidays. So I think they're
Overnight.
really great fits for overnight. Yeah,
Yeah,
for many reasons. Yeah.
totally. Yeah. Who would have thought multifamily comparatively is more stable from a schedule standpoint and things?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Some people are like, I disagree. Being on call, this, that, and the other.
Yeah. If you've ever
Mostly,
worked all day
probably.
on Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
running an
Oh
event and
gosh.
working out of a kitchen, yeah, it's
Yeah,
nice.
that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that a little bit. I actually have some questions I want to ask you when it comes to um, regarding community building and hospitality. First, I just like to ask my guests, when it comes to building community in your personal and professional life, how is it that you like to go about that?
I think, the core of community is just finding, I guess, personally and professionally, it's finding commonalities and things that people can relate to. So, whether it's, personally, if you're building a community, we could have a bunch of people working in my office. Obviously, we all work in multifamily in different departments, but finding something that we're all interested in, whether it's, running something to build a connection around, I think is a really important first step.
Hmm.
Similarly, like in a community, you need to know who your residents are and what interests them, how they might have some commonalities between them. So for example, I think getting beyond like demographics more into like psychographic interests, so not like who are you, where do you work, but maybe for us here in Philadelphia, a lot of people work at hospitals, but just because everybody works in a hospital doesn't mean they all like to read the same things, eat the same food, you know watch the same shows. Finding the things that connect them, maybe how brands that they're interested in, just finding commonalities to build community around, I think is really a key to kind of like spark a connection. And then once you have people talking like human to human, it just comes naturally and you just continue to find more things you have in common.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. When you have something to kind of like let your guard down
Yeah,
so that you don't feel anxious about, oh, I have to come up with something to talk about.
exactly. One of the things that I've seen work really well when we do public events is just like, doesn't matter age. um, Throw out a game. Everyone likes a good like competition or just something to do, like you were mentioning,
Hmm.
to break the ice. um,
Right.
you know when you're kind of playing a game, you forget like worrying about what am I going to say, or will they think that's strange. Like you just instantly connect.
Absolutely. The other thing to always add is music.
Yes.
You need something in the background so that there's not the crickets when
Yeah.
people stop talking.
Yeah, give them something to do. Music, good food always helps. No one ever
Yeah.
complained about having too much good food.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing. And then when it comes to hospitality, kind of obviously started that conversation, but this is more geared towards if you had somebody over to your home and you were hosting someone, how would you bring about hospitality and making them feel at home through food?
Sure. Oh, well, through food specifically. Um, so I think, can I be more broad than food?
Sure, sure, sure.
I think it really, first step is just knowing who they are. So this will connect to food. Today, dietary restrictions, whether it's for an allergy or anything else, is so important. And that relates to, can be synonymous with like all things you're going to do to make somebody feel comfortable. So you want to know who the person is, and you want to know first, if you're going to serve something, like are they going to have something at your house that they can enjoy, whether it's food or drinks. If you are having someone over and maybe they don't want to drink alcohol, do you have something to make them feel special and included?
Yeah.
If you're having a party and you're having all this beer and wine and then you have water, right? Maybe have a nice
Yeah.
mocktail for them to enjoy,
Right.
so they don't have to drink but feel like they're included. And then really, I think success is like always in the details, no matter what you're doing. So having like you can buy white cocktail napkins, or you can buy cocktail napkins that kind of go with the theme of what you're doing, or have a little something special about them. They probably cost about the same price. So why not kind of like go a little extra and make every decision, like the way you present things, the way you serve things. Like you could have pizza, but if you just like put it out in a pizza box and just like leave it open for people to grab versus like putting it on a nice tray, those are those like extras throughout everything you do kind of tie in and make it feel special. It's not
Yeah.
conscious, but subconsciously people will feel more welcome.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I used to do events in apartments, and we really tried to over time increase the quality just by doing exactly what you said to make people feel special. This isn't just a, oh, we bought pizza, threw it down, it's free, so what are you going to whine about? It was more like, yeah, it's pizza, but let's make it feel special.
Yeah.
Let's add the music, let's add the, like you said, on a pedestal or whatever, and make it him on this, and they were intentional.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really relates, I mean, in multifamily and hospitality, like in everything you're doing, putting in those small touches really make a big difference.
Yeah, it sure does. Great answer. All right, and then finally, when it comes to your caffeinated beverage of choice, what's your go-to?
Oh, I think I'm going to be a downer on this one. I don't drink coffee. Like, I don't mind it. Like, I will drink coffee, but I kind of just go for tea. I'm like a black tea kind of
Well, that's
girl.
caffeine.
It
I
is.
mean,
It is. Also, well, I guess my real favorite would be Celsius, but I'm
okay.
getting off of Celsius. I'm working my way off of it. So, yeah.
I was drinking a lot of Celsius. As soon
Me
as it
too.
hit Costco, I was buying the 12 pack or 15 pack or whatever they have, and I was
Yeah.
drinking it like every day. And I was
Yes,
like,
me too.
but I was also having coffee, and I'm like, I think this is overkill. I don't need this.
Yeah, it's same thing. I was doing like I was trying out, well, not trying out. I did it for about a year, like intermittent fasting, just to see if I would just feel better. So then I started drinking Celsius to kind of help me get through the day a bit until I would eat, and started getting those 12 packs. And first I would have one like every couple days, but then when they're in your fridge, you just start taking them, and it did get bad. It was like became like my treat every day. So now I'm down to one a week, and I'm happy with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I these energy drinks, as much as they make you like think they're healthy, they're not good
Mhm.
for you.
No, no, and the I don't want to say addiction to them, but like the excitement for that, like there's something in it. Yeah, I
Oh,
haven't
totally.
looked into it enough, but
Well, I mean, it's like a stimulant. So you
yeah,
start getting like, oh, I need it
yeah,
in order to feel energized or whatever.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah. I'm here. I'm with you. Like I've had to like cut it out. There's some other drinks I started drinking thinking these are healthy, and then I was like, but I don't feel very
yeah.
good. That's weird. Yeah. All right. So tea, any way you like to make your tea that is a little that maybe the non-tea drinkers out there, they don't know about it. Do you
Honestly,
like do you like just bag tea, or do you like loose leaf,
I'm
herbal?
a just I would shame like tea drinkers, like real tea drinkers are probably going to be like ashamed of what I'm going to say. I'm like I need it like on the go. I have one of those water jug dispensers in my kitchen that if you like push the button, you get hot water. So you get hot
Uh-huh.
water, and I drop a tea bag in it, and that's it. I'm good to go. I don't put anything like fancy in it, or pretty much it just became like I need caffeine because like I'm a working parent and I'm just busy all the time. But I made it this far through life without like really drinking coffee and getting into like the sugar and creamer. Probably wouldn't like coffee without it. So I just go like black tea. Super boring. Yeah. Although I will say, if you've ever had like Harney and Sons, I had that at a hotel somewhere. They have like a blackberry currant tea. That is excellent. And I think that's more like loose leaf, although it is in like a little tea bag.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, my wife just ventured into getting a bunch of different teas, like mostly like herbal teas,
mm-hmm.
and so now we have the round loose leaf, the ball to capture it all, and then
Yeah.
you can put it in your hot water. So I've been dabbling in that a little bit.
All right. Well, we'll have to catch up over on that at the brunch. I'm expecting a really good tea display. So.
Okay. Well, we aren't going to have tea necessarily. We are going to have two baristas on hand to
Okay.
make whatever beverage you want.
All right.
But I guess there probably could be some tea people. So I don't know if we can ask them to provide some tea.
Everyone, bring your own tea. Okay.
Yeah, bring BYOT. Yes. All right. Well, again, I'm hopeful that you will be there, and if you have some friends, by all means, bring them with you.
Sure.
So Philly, we're what, T minus less than a month, right? Is it?
Yep.
Is it? I think so.
Yeah,
What's today?
Yeah. Well, close. Yeah.
Almost 2 days away to a month away.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited, actually. I know by the end of the week I'm gonna be like dead, but that's fine.
That's all.
I'll be having fun while I'm there.
Absolutely. You definitely always need like a few days after to recover.
Oh gosh, it's a fact. It's kind of like there's no tired like Disney tired, if you know that saying.
Mm-hmm.
I would say equally true about apartmentalize.
Oh yeah, yeah. By Friday, I'm usually like, okay, my body is shutting down.
Right. It's like the adult version of Disney. So
mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of late nights, early mornings, walking, all the things. So.
Lots of walking, great connections, fun get-togethers, and after I always do have a couple days where I do this like cucumber lemon mint water detox, like not detox like I don't eat, just mix that in, like drink a bunch of that for a couple days, you feel much better.
Yeah, no, it's drinking water is like probably the most thing that everybody's got to remember. Every time I travel, I don't drink enough water, and you can tell how you feel not very great. So when it comes to Philly, though, and Apartmentalize, what do you think we should be looking forward to? What are some things we should even check out while we're there?
In Philly, I mean, Philly is such a great city, and it's super walkable. So that's the great thing. You really can't get lost. Like, you're on a grid. So as long as you kind of, and I mean, who gets lost anymore? You have your GPS on your phone. You won't get lost. But street numbers go, is it east to west? West to east. This way. Other streets go that way. You should definitely check. Shamefully, I need to check out the schedule a little more to see, like, I think the party is at the art museum. Does that sound right? The NAA party? Is it?
I know I got an email recently about it, and I didn't check it into it too deeply, but
okay. I'm going to look into that. I should have looked into this a little more before the call, but you can't make a bad food. Well, you can't make a bad food decision as long as you're in like a reputable establishment. So if it looks like a good spot, stop in. If you want to explore, if you see any parties for any vendors at Reading Terminal Market, and I'm sure there will be, that's a great spot because it's on Filbert Street, right across from the Marriott. So anyone who might be staying at the Marriott, but it's easy to get to from any of the hotels. It's this huge, probably full city block around area, and it has all of these vendors in there. I'm not sure if you're familiar, if you've ever been there, all different, just unique food, everything from like cheesesteaks to Thai food to like awesome ice cream and 4th Street cookies. So anything you could want to eat is there. So that's definitely a good spot to check out. And they're really, like, as far as restaurants go, like, look on your phone, make sure it's like a restaurant that has reviews, but our dining scene is fantastic. There's all of our historic things here. You have the Liberty Bell here, so you can go over and take a look at that, get your history on. It's just an awesome city.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And it's like we're a bigger city, but it's small. Like it's not New York.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy history, and where I'm staying, I'm next to City Hall. I think I'm across from like the Masonic Temple, like the really old one that, it's pretty cool building.
Are you staying at the W? Is that where you're at? Or
No, I'm staying. Where am
now
I?
I'm telling
The
everyone where your hotel is. You don't have to say.
I don't care. I guess everybody show up at my hotel. The Residency, I think, is that what it's
Okay.
called? Yeah.
Okay.
It's across from City Hall. It's next to where we're gonna have our boss brunch. We're doing
Okay.
it at the co-working space in an older building, so it should be a
The
cool
Wanamaker
space.
building. Yeah.
Yes.
That's like very well known in Philadelphia. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we picked well, I guess.
It's a great spot.
But it's a cool co-working space. They keep all the old uh, aspects of the building exposed so that you
Mhm.
can kind of that you're in an old space, but they also just you know decorated it accordingly and all that. So it should
Yeah,
be
that's
good.
one really great thing about Philadelphia. There's so many of the buildings where they might be renovated inside, but they still have, the historic architecture. We still have cobblestone streets on some of our side streets and even some of like the more main streets. It's really cool. It's a really cool city.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so much of our history started there as a
Yep.
country, which is
Yeah.
I always forget that, to be honest. And so it's kind of fun to go there. I went there as a kid and saw the Liberty Bell. I was like 14. I don't remember much of anything other than that. And I don't think we did much of anything other than that because it was like driving straight through. But I'll be there a whole week. I'm getting there on Monday.
Okay.
So I'll have some opportunities to walk around, I think.
Newer since you were 14. I always say the name wrong, and it's just the order of the words, but basically there's a museum for the Revolutionary War. I think it's like the American history of Revolutionary War, but there's a museum for that. That is definitely a good place to stop. And they
Nice.
actually have George Washington's tent there,
Hmm.
which is like when you see it and you see the condition that it's still in, it's like incredible. Like I have things I bought 2 years ago that haven't held up that well. And when you think about like the elements and the number of years and how they've had to preserve it, like it's pretty incredible. So that is something, I'm not even a huge history buff, but that's something I would definitely recommend for everyone to check out.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for the recommendation.
Sure.
Now, right there next to, I mean, there's a lot going on right next to the convention center where, the main event is and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all you got to do is look at a Google map and you're like, oh man, there's a lot going on here.
There's so much. And the convention center itself, one of the nice things is it's multiple blocks. So hopefully we'll have fantastic weather, but it covers such a huge footprint. I mean, it's got to be, I think it starts on 11th and goes all the way up to Broad. So that's four streets, I think 4 city blocks, and then it goes over further. So if you're trying to get around, you can definitely do it inside, whether it's hot or it's raining. Easy to get in and out of where you're trying to go without bearing the elements if needed.
Yeah. I'm happy this year that we're like a 5-minute walk from the convention center.
Yeah.
Last year we had to take one of the shuttles, which was
Mm-hmm.
fine, but it was like still added time and
Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping though. So last year we were next to this place in Atlanta where it was like a pit in the ground and they had like a rave until 2 in the morning.
Jeez, that's the worst.
It was ridiculous.
Last year feels like a blur. I'm trying to remember where we stayed. Oh, I remember. I don't remember what the hotel was, but I kind of remember the location. But yeah, Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's a great city too. But I do feel like NAA. It's not a quick like, oh, let me just walk over. So everybody will enjoy the walkability of Philly.
Yeah, seems like there's plenty of hotels that are pretty close.
Yeah.
So that's great. Well, awesome. I'm super excited. Thanks again for being here and representing, first of all, the state of Pennsylvania. And you
Sure.
yourself, you are how far from Philly?
Like 30 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Like right on outside. So I'm essentially like I'm there at least multiple days a week in Philadelphia.
Oh, you actually go into Philly?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I'm like 45 minutes from Seattle, but I go there like never. So
Yeah, Philly's funny because like you have your like Center City where we actually have several properties. So I'm usually there for that, but also outside of like Center City, you have like I guess I don't know what do you call it? Like we call it here you're like in the Northeast. So the Northeast connects to like all of the suburbs. So there's multiple times a week that I'm there for one of my daughter's soccer games, or yeah. So
Okay.
even being on the outskirts of Philly, you're still kind of from Philly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's cool. Well, thanks again for sharing about that.
sure.
But let's dive into your topics. I mean, you, like I say, you've been in multifamily for around 10 years, but the thing that you're actually wanting to talk about kind of goes and encompasses all of life, not just this profession. And that's just doing things the right way, which is kind of like your mantra or motto.
Mm-hmm.
And what some people might think that is like, oh, let's be perfect. Let's do everything right in the sense of it's perfection. But what is it that you actually mean by that?
Sure. So Evan had asked me like, what are some? It's hard, kind of thinking like, oh, like what are the things I live by, or what are the things I'm really interested in. Um, One of the things that came to my mind is just something I kind of live by day in and day out, and that's um, a motto I heard from actually an instructor I really like, but have heard other places as well. And it's just how you do anything is how you do everything, and that stems probably from just it's ingrained in me growing up. My dad was a harsh critic, not in a mean way, in a loving way. And even when I would write English papers, he would give them back, or math, but usually English papers, and he would put like a frowny face on it and write like "you can do better," and I'd be like, "Yeah, but it's good enough, like it's fine." And he's like, "But it's not the best that you could do. Like you could do a better job of this. So why are you not?" And it was because I was, in like eighth grade and wanted to watch TV or go hang out with my friends. And that really used to used to like get at me a bit. But then it kind of ties into some of the things we were talking about earlier. As I got older, I started to realize, maybe in event planning, I don't know where it came to be, in hospitality, whatever it is, that those little extra things you do are what makes the difference. And I think I did get my work ethic from my dad. So that kind of got into my mind, and I started, not consciously, but probably subconsciously, making sure that if I was doing a paper, I was doing it the best I could. If I was going to go out and try to accomplish something new, I was going to give it my all. So it doesn't necessarily mean being perfect. It means if you decide you want to do something or you're involved in something, make it the best that it can be, both personally and professionally. So it became just part of how I lived my life. And then I started to see, as I went through jobs, like even in high school, I, would be working a job and they would be like, "You have really great qualities. Like we would like, do you want to have a higher role?" I'm like, "Sure." And then in college, it would be, actually probably not college. College, I was more of like a C's to get degrees person. But I did a good job. And then when I found the thing I really cared about, which was tourism and hospitality, like in my third year, that's when I moved over. I started to care, and then started to really get into doing things the right way and making it the best it could be. So if I was working on a project, it would be like, you don't have to have an image on the cover, but if putting an image on the cover like made it more impactful, like why not do it? Things personally and professionally now, like some examples I would say is that I think has continued to help in my career. When you're working on a project, right? So I'm in charge of marketing, but all through my career, not like just being in charge of the department. It doesn't matter who the boss is and who works for who. I'm still not like the head boss. I still have people who work with me and people I work for. Um, I don't just worry about the piece that's my part. Like it doesn't matter if the marketing section or whatever section you're working on, it doesn't matter if that's awesome if it's not going to connect and work with the other pieces. And I think that that's where there's a lot of opportunity for people who are looking to advance their careers. So many people kind of just will look and say like, okay, like I'm doing what I need to do. I think I've been very successful in kind of looking outside of the circle of what's required by me to what else can I do to help or make this successful. Because it doesn't matter if one piece of the project succeeds, but the rest doesn't. If it doesn't all work together, then everybody fails. And not everybody steps out to do that. And I think that's a big differentiator. Oh, I can't hear you. I don't know why.
When you do your best, that's because I was on mute. At all you do, I mean, it does make a difference because people see that you're trying at things that quote unquote don't matter, and you begin to stand out amongst everybody else because they're like, well, we know they're giving their all at everything. They're not complaining about it. They're being a good sport about things. I
Yeah.
I think it does, and versus the alternative where people are like, they're given a task and they're like, well, this isn't really my job.
That is like I think that is like the death of the advancement of a career. And there are definitely, don't get me wrong, there's definitely days where I'm like, that like this is not my role. And there's an important distinction. You have to, especially professionally, like you can't be doing everybody else's job because
Right.
then you won't get your job done.
Sure.
But if you kind of see someone that you could jump in and help or assist in a way, and it's still going to allow you to accomplish what you need to, I would say to do it, because it helps everything. It helps your organization be better. It helps your role. It helps the way people view you. And that goes professionally too. I try to bring the same into my professional life. Like I'm very honest and with myself and others of like what I can or can't do. But if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to be all in. And that's really what I like that message means to me. It's kind of, I've heard a phrase, like I've heard it like said silly, like if you half-ass like throwing something in the trash can, like if you go to throw something in the trash can and it falls on the floor next to it, like pick it up and put it in the trash can. Because if you don't do that, those habits get into your daily life, and then you start leaving trash all over. Similarly, like you can't do everything, so you shouldn't agree to do everything. It's not about doing everything perfect, but you should decide what are the right things for you to be participating in personally and professionally. And if you're going to do it, like commit and go all in and do it the best it can be done for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do your best. I mean, again, and especially if you've never done it before, nobody's expecting you to do it perfectly, but at least you tried hard, you did your best.
Yeah.
The effort is seen, I think, is the biggest thing.
It's the difference of like, it's not perfect. It's like your best. So do your best. Yeah.
Right. No, that's a good distinction. And I think something we need to like, I'm starting to see people not necessarily doing their best. I think because we are like, well, we live at home. No one can see what I'm doing. Work at home, I should say. So it's like, I think there's a level of like, people think they can get away with stuff, but I think you can still tell because you can see the outcome. I think at the end of the day, you see what work was produced. Is it your best or is it not?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's super important.
All right. It helps you stand out for other opportunities and on teams too. Like, and people appreciate it. Like I had an experience this week because the truth is like not everybody goes out of their way to like make sure they're handing you the quality that they would want handed to them. I needed help with a project and I reached out to someone on our acquisitions team for some numbers. And not only did they like, I was just like asking, can you show me where this data is so that I can pull it myself and put together what I need? And like, these are the questions I'm looking to answer. And they went ahead and like actually pull the information, but also put it in there for me. So then all I had to do was finish up what I needed. And I was blown away. And I told him, I was like, this is like, always do things like this because people remember it. And then people want to work on projects with you and like do things with you. It sounds ridiculous. I was like, I know I'm like irrationally happy about this, but it made a big impact. And it's kind of sad that something like that makes that big of an impact, but it does. It makes a difference. People appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's true. And moving on to the next topic, AI kind of hit the scene in a big way this week.
Mm-hmm.
You were bringing up something that both Google and the Open or the Chat GPT, the
Yep.
company that is behind that, um, both came out with something. Was it the same day?
No. So Google, I guess Google's conference that they have, or there was a specific event happening yesterday that was on
Okay.
the calendar. So OpenAI did their announcement one day before. So what's today? Today's Wednesday. So they did their announcement Monday, and then Google's was yesterday.
Okay. And you just have mentioned that the topic of AI is something that you're very interested in, and kind of follow closely to see like what is it that's going on, how
Mm-hmm.
does it impact your work and just the industry of multifamily, or where is it, how is it, where's it heading, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And before the show, you just mentioned, based on what was just announced, that things are really changing, like things are about to really get impacted. So what is it that you've noticed, and how do you think it's going to impact our industry?
Yes. So it's funny. Actually, I guess because I'm technically, a participant of this podcast, I saw the summary that you put together. So I had shared some notes with Evan last week of just like topics I'm interested in. I don't recall exactly what it said, but I think I said something like really like everyone in every role or
Hmm.
every industry should be looking at and thinking about this because it's that important. And that was last week.
Yeah.
Um, as of this week, like I can't express like the exponential increase in the importance of that. So how it's impacting, I mean, I think it's going to impact every industry in the world, really. I told Evan earlier, I was thinking, okay, after seeing these announcements and what has come, which I'll dive into in a sec, um, I can't really think of a profession where it won't touch it at all. Like, I'm not saying like replace jobs or anything like that. So everyone calm down. But I'm saying like change the way we do things. I think there's hype cycles of things. We've seen those over the years. I don't think this is a hype cycle. Um, I don't think you can put what is already out back in the box. So I think it's really
Oh yeah.
important for everyone to like understand it and be experimenting with it. I'm on two different sides of AI. Like, I think everybody should be exploring, everyone should be experimenting. I think you should be very cautious in implementing. So, especially in our industry. So, some of the things that were just released, so I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with using it, but ChatGPT, for example, is the first one that was really released November 2022. And people went crazy. I think it had like an adoption like unheard of. Like I think it might have been 1 million people in like 2 days or something like that. I don't have the
Yeah.
stat, but
Yeah.
really
It was a
fast
lot.
adoption. All of a sudden, professors are freaking out because people can just be cheating on their papers and having them written by AI. What was released yesterday, so it's had iterations. What's been released and what's coming, and how it's going to impact our industry is both OpenAI and Google now have like a camera feature. So before you could only input information into like what is called a large language model, which is what these systems all run on, and have to give you some information, and that alone was impressive. Now you can show you can have the camera kind of show your surroundings and start to ask questions. So really, all of the information it's been trained on with like words and code and all of that can now relate to your environment. That's one piece that was released. And another one from Google is the search generative experience. Some people may have seen this if you're using test labs, they've had it out for a while, but that experience for Google is going to be released to everybody in America, in the US this week. So when you go to Google and you search, it used to just give you a ton of different, and we've seen sprinklings of what's coming, like on the side panels and things. But instead of giving you a ton of links, so like, is this what I want? Nope, go back. Is this what I want? Nope, let me go back to my search results. It's It's going to take everything and summarize it up top. So people won't really need to necessarily go to your website anymore because it's going to decide what context to show based on your question. That's really important because you need your brand, your community to be showing up as the answer. So
Right.
that's something really important to be thinking about. Like, how do you get your content to be fed up into that? And with it just being announced yesterday, nobody has that answer yet, or at least I haven't figured it out. So if any of you already have the answer, let me know. I think for the whole video thing blows my mind a little bit, being able to see. So I think for maintenance and service teams, being able to just take a quick video or take a picture and say, like, what's wrong with this, or why isn't this working? Now everybody has that capability. So I think it could help in that way. I think we'll also probably have a lot of residents, like I guess like what doctors deal with, like self-diagnosing, like calling you and saying like, oh, hey, I need a part XYZ for my apartment, and I need you to order it because now AI has told you what you need to fix it. There's so many implications of the new technology that'll be coming. I'm trying to think, like video. I haven't seen or experimented with it at all, but yesterday Google announced, I think it's called VEO, VEO. Similar to, if anyone has been following and listening to about Sora, which is OpenAI's video that has not been released yet, has not come out yet. You can basically describe in text what you want a video to be, and it will create that video for you. So from a marketing perspective, like I can say, I want an aerial of this building or a building at this address, pan down to the street, and show a group of young professionals walking down and walking into a coffee shop, and it will create that for you. So, that's a big change. And there's a lot of implications personally too, like using this in your everyday life, I think will really be life-changing. And I think it's really going to attach to every interest. Like they were showing, like you can show a math problem and say, like, don't give me the answer, but help me understand how to do this. And if I get stuck, cue me. So that's something for like teachers. Back to our industry, OpenAI's speech enhancement. So now you can just talk right to AI for communicating with residents who, if you're not bilingual, I think that's going to be a huge help. You can say, I only speak English and my friend only speaks Spanish. I'm going to talk to you in English and I need you to repeat to my friend what I'm saying in Spanish. So two-way communication, I think that's going to be a very big help for different languages. There's the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, there's always, there's a lot of positive use cases for sure. I just hope the bad people stay away from it.
Absolutely. I read a really good quote. Actually, I had mentioned this to Evan earlier, but I was reading a book like on AI, and I thought this was a fantastic quote. It said, "AI is a mirror reflecting back at us our best and worst qualities." So, the AI is all built on everything that we have fed through news articles, content, what we've created as humans. And that's actually a really important distinction, because when I was mentioning earlier, like explore, experiment, but be very cautious. And this is actually something I think is really important in multifamily. Be cautious rolling it out, because like it or not, as humans, like we have bias, and that can present the data that is used to train models can give out bias. So when it comes to fair housing, I would be very careful and really start asking, vendors who are incorporating AI into it, like where is it being trained and how is it being trained on fair housing? Like how are we making sure that the information that AI is going to give based on the way somebody asks is going to be the same and consistent, and that everybody will be treated equally? I think that's really crucial because of.
Oh, you're saying the tools you guys use that, like leasing tools and things like that utilize AI? How are you going to have a consistent experience for the people that are leasing?
Yes. And how are you going to make sure, even beyond fair housing, like it's giving accurate information? So there's chatbots, there's all kinds of tools building AI responses into email. Like, so we've had it for years, like with, in Outlook or Office 365 or whatever it is you use, where it'll say like, or Gmail, is this how you wanted to end the sentence? Like it's already guessing. You say, sure, like that's similar to this, except now you can say, write me an email to a resident to explain why, we have to charge a pet fee, whatever it is. If you're going to implement something like that, it's really important that your teams are not just using it and not reviewing it, because it could give misinformation. And
Right.
if you're sending that, or if it's on your chatbot, or a prospect or resident is communicating with it, like that's on your company to make sure, it's coming from you. So, it's not going to hold up that you say like, oh, but that wasn't us, it was our chatbot. It's yours. It's on your website. It's in your emails. You're responsible for the output.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard not to get lazy with it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like, oh, it spit it out. It's probably fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not true.
There's been
Yeah.
lawsuits already where, a chatbot, I think it was for Air Canada, gave somebody the wrong information about like their bereavement policy for a flight. And it went to court, and the court said, like, that's your chatbot. You're responsible for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some things that you guys have implemented at Scully Company utilizing AI, if anything?
Yeah. So within our department, we haven't done anything wide scale yet, but we're definitely looking at what the capabilities could be. I use it personally a lot for like developing personas. So thinking about like who our ideal resident, not ideal resident, but who our typical resident would be, and creating a persona to match. And then using that to generate some content around that. So maybe how I would phrase. Um, I use it personally to like organize projects and time. Like you can create a custom GPT, which is like you give instructions of exactly what you want it to do, and each time you want to do that particular activity, you can go and ask. So I might give it like, here's a list of 20 things I have to do. Help me like batch these activities together so I can be as efficient as I can to get this all done by this date. I can use it that way. And we use it a lot, at least in our marketing department, for just like help me get unstuck. So having a hard time phrasing this. Let me
Yeah.
see what I could do. I did test out the new advancement yesterday that OpenAI made. One thing I have to do on a weekly basis is, we have client meetings and we have reports we have to do, and I analyze analytics and see like how our performance was. So I did try the picture function, and I said, like, here's a chart of data, and it's just a breakdown of web traffic by source. Tell me what you can gather from this, and what are the highlights? Like what's above average, what's below, what should I look into more? And it did give a summary, like a good summary of like what was performing better this week, what was not performing as well. So I think time savings is definitely possible with some of these newer tools.
And it seemed to make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was accurate. But that is a
Nice.
good point. Like you always have to check, because
Yeah. And hopefully the checking, I mean, I'm sure still time savings, but it's like if you have to edit it, if you have to do this, that, and the other, I guess at the end of the day, we got to make sure that all that extra work, does that save us time? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
yeah,
Probably.
yeah,
Writing
you have
something.
to, yeah, you have to
Yeah.
play around with, you have to see what it can do well and what it won't do well, and then also be really careful about what you're putting out. Make sure, because again, it's coming from you. So
And I'll say, I use AI. I always like hesitate to use certain things, but there's certain tools, especially when you're using it with real life stuff, not just fictitious or whatever. So when I edit, for instance, videos, There's a tool I use that it helps me eliminate uhs and ums and ahs, all the filler words and gaps in speech and that kind of stuff to make it a little more fluid when I put it on as a podcast, for instance. But it also creates a transcript. It then categorizes the topics, and it
Mm-hmm.
also creates a summary or blog or social media post based on what was said in like our conversation.
Yep.
So it's super helpful, and it's based on what we actually said. It's not made up. It's not like scouring the internet and this, that, and the other. It's just information we said. Um, and Karen, uh, that's exactly what I use, Descript. So that's the tool. It's really, really helpful. Um, it saves me so much time
Mm-hmm.
because I used to edit and I had to pull those words out one by one for
Yep.
every episode. And I literally, at the beginning of doing the show, I was like, yeah, there's no way. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to do this.
I've seen that demoed, and it looks, I don't do podcasts, but I think even as a user now that all of these show notes will have exactly what minute something was mentioned and have
Exactly.
little snippets. It's great for the people creating it, and it's great for the people consuming it, because why not want to see everything? You might just want to hear one part. Yeah,
Right.
very cool.
Yeah. That is one of the best parts is giving kind of the breaking up the video into topics. And then even in YouTube, you can then like look at the bar and it'll tell you what topic is being talked about during that section. So super helpful. One thing, and I don't know, do you happen to know this person that's on?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
So she had a question kind of based around AI, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously you probably don't have the correct answer, but you may have an opinion. So what based on the question, she says um, that she would love to know just how we can assess how AI overviews will promote or destroy multifamily websites.
Yeah. Excellent question, which we need to find the answer to pretty quickly. I don't think it will destroy multifamily websites, because but I do think it might change the way we use them. So the overviews um, discussed are like what I was mentioning, when like it gives you the whole summary up top. So I think, being able to create the content is really important to show up there. So hopefully you are mentioned as an option or as the option when someone says, I'm looking for apartments near this school or this hospital, or in this neighborhood. But I think it will decrease the people coming to the site.
Mm.
But I think once they get there, the people who, I'm wondering if our conversion will be higher. So maybe we don't get as many people to the site, but when people make it to our site, our conversion is much higher of people who convert to a lead and then hopefully a resident. But I don't think the websites will go away. I think we'll still use them as tools. So because of some of the other AI technologies that are coming out, and other great things like Ingrain is one that we're just starting to use and explore. That's something where you can have like a whole tower of your building, and you can click into the floor, and then you can see the exact apartment, and we can load content into there to see it. So I think whereas people might not go right there in the search process, I think as we have them as a lead, we'll share our website and say, hey, like, are you by a computer right now? Go ahead onto your website. Like, can you click on floor 32? Okay, check out apartment 7, or 3207, and you kind of use it more as a tool that way. So I think we'll still need the websites for the content to live on, to hopefully populate into the overviews, but then still have our leasing teams be able to use those websites as a tool for leasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. Do you guys put an emphasis on like building out, I guess, business pages um, for each community? So basically, when you search on Google,
Mm-hmm.
they look for the specific name of a community. It's what would show up on the Google map, but also just on the browser. Has
Yep.
all the
The little
pictures.
piece on the side.
Uh huh.
Yeah, we definitely do that. just because we want our communities to be seen anywhere someone's searching. So if they're looking there, great. If they look at ILSs, we're going to be there. Hopefully, if they're looking at the overview, we're going to check that out. And we're going to be located in there. But yeah, we do build that out for every community, especially because it also helps with SEO. So we build as much content as we can on as many platforms as we can so that we show up wherever our renters are.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to impact all the ILSs?
Not sure. I've seen some of them. I'm really anxious to go to NAA and talk with a lot of them because I've seen some new integrations coming out. I've seen some new tools being integrated into the ILSs. I'm not sure yet, but I'm definitely going to be exploring that at NAA this year.
Because I can only imagine somebody eventually is going to just be able to ask, I want to move to this part of the city. I want to live in a high rise, and I want a view of this park and blah, blah, blah. All the things I want. And then it's going to know exactly where you're going to live.
Yeah. And that's why that content is going to be so important, that it lives as many places. So hopefully you are the answer. Evan, that's actually how I found out what I was doing for vacation this year.
Okay.
I didn't know we had so many different needs. I have kids, I have a husband. We want to have good drinks. They want to have fun. I used AI to figure out where in the entire world I might want to go with my, here's how much I want to spend on flights. Here's how close I want to be. And this is what I want to do. And that's how I picked my vacation spot this year.
And it seemed to work out pretty good.
Oh my! What it found me is incredible. Something I couldn't have even dreamed up. Mm-hmm.
That's actually really great.
Yeah,
I'll have to play with that. So, what did you use for that?
I used ChatGPT.
Okay. That's a good use because it can take a lot of time to do all the scouring.
I mean, you have to decide of all the locations, flights, hotel prices. What do you want? Like, how close do you want to be to the beach? Do you want to be on the beach? So many factors. You'd be searching for days just to even find the location, let alone where you're going to stay and what you're going to do. It took me about a half hour.
So where are you going?
I'm actually going to St. Pete's Beach in Florida, to a resort that has like a ton of stuff for my kids to do, which is mostly included. There's 15 restaurants. It's walkable. It's on a beach, and it has everything right there in a 2-hour flight for us to get to.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right.
Yep.
Well, you sold me on that. I'm going to have to go check that out because that's a great use of it, I think. Because, who's got time to plan this stuff? You could use a travel agent, but I've actually recently, we were using one to go to Disney World, and I'll be honest, it didn't feel like they could do any better than I could do just Googling something. So it just was like, why are we using you? I don't even know.
Try it. But you have just be specific about what you want, and the more detail you give, the better results you'll get.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. All right. Well, I'll definitely do that. Well, and then wrapping all this up in a bow at the end here, with the advent of AI and the progression of it, and it's just becoming more and more a part of our lives, and all the different tools on it, from LinkedIn to everything else, it's creeping into everything. The need and desire, I think, from everybody for authenticity is only going to grow. Like, what's real?
Yep. Yeah. Something that I think has always been important to me, but is more important than anything right now, because when AI can book your vacation for you, I was saying earlier, I think you can probably take a picture of your ingredients in your pantry now and figure out what to make for dinner. When it can do all of that, the only thing it doesn't really have, it only has what we feed it. So it doesn't have your brain and your life experiences. So you're the only person that can share that. And I think that's still the value of humanity and what we can share.
Yeah. The imperfections, really.
Right. Yeah.
Do your best, but the imperfections of people comparatively to AI really are what make humans human. And honestly,
and make them interesting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you can point out the imperfections of people and gossip about them. No, just kidding. But no, I think being authentic is so important, and um, is why I struggle beyond doing this show and things, putting out a lot of content, because I just, to be interesting all the time. I don't know how people crank out so much stuff. It's
Well,
just
some people crank out a lot, and sometimes it's not good, and that's why it is important. Like, I actually heard a great phrase before. It was, why would I care? Why should I share? And like, if it doesn't fit that, then don't post it.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there is an overexposure sometimes
Yep.
where people, yeah, they see your stuff, but are they starting to be like, okay, this person's annoying?
Well, yeah, and that's also where like authenticity comes in. Like, you want to make real connections with people, and you do that by being real, whether it's personally or professionally. Even in your teams, or among coworkers, like, you don't do anybody favors by like sugarcoating and not giving them the truth that can help them to grow
Yeah.
in your relationships. Like, I don't know, if you connect with people, great, and if you don't, that's okay too, because not everything is for everyone, and not every person is for everyone. And I think that's why it's important to just don't be fake. Like, if you don't feel like you connect well, with your kids friends, friend's mom, that's great, you can
Right.
be cordial. You
Yeah.
don't have to like overextend. So just be authentic, and be honest. Give good feedback to your teams, and then in your relationships, being real, I think, is so important, because it doesn't help anyone to not be upfront and truthful in what you're sharing.
Yeah. And be upfront and truthful that you're using AI to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
To your boss or whoever. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this was a tool I used. I tweaked it. Don't worry. It wasn't just doing my job. Uh, yeah. No, we're faced with that in my job, where, certain content, we use it as a starting point, and then we kind of tweak
Mhm.
it from there.
Well,
So
yeah, and that's I think, to me, I see all AI is like a tool. Like, it's a tool like any other tool that you use. It should be helped to supplement the things that you do in your day to day, and to make you more efficient, not to just take over and do all of your work for you
yeah,
incorrectly and
right.
send out something inaccurate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Renee, thank you so much for being on
Sure.
today, for sharing your insights and your passions, and diving into AI, because it is such a timely topic, something that we do need to pay attention to. And in the midst of it all, I really do appreciate you bringing up the topic of authenticity, because it is so important for us to remember that, to remember be ourselves. Don't just put things out just for clicks and impressions, but
Mhm.
do it because it actually represents you.
Yeah, and I mean, for you and where we started today, that's how you build community, is by
Yeah.
having an authentic connection with people. So
Yeah. Yeah. So just so everybody knows, when you meet me in Philly, I'm still the same guy. I can't fake it. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm still this same dude, with poor fashion sense, but I'll be friendly and connect with you on an authentic way.
awesome. Looking forward to meeting in person.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And anybody else that's going to be in Philly, we're so excited to see you and explore the city of brotherly love, and all the history and all the fun things that are going on there. So, just a few weeks away, almost a month, 2 days away from a month. I'm actually going to have a few more people from the Pennsylvania area on the show leading up to it. So, super excited about that. So, be sure to tune in. And just like Renee jumped on and showed why she's a boss, you too can be on Boss Talks. So, if you're interested, jumping in, being live, being on a podcast, taking a stab at something like that and getting uncomfortable potentially, jump in, do it. It's a fun thing. Most people have enjoyed it. Hopefully, Renee, you've enjoyed it.
It was
And
great.
and I hope everybody else, if you have any interest in doing it, you would reach out. So until next week, Wednesday, this has been Boss Talks number 90. Thanks for watching, and we'll check you next week.
Thanks.